Okay, I kinda will admit that I have been lazy for the last few weeks. Well, last 2 weeks. In which some people could call me lazy, but also I've been kinda busy with a few things. Which I've kinda been trying to promise the CCBM video for a few weeks now, and haven't really gone on to that. But yet again, it's gonna be there eventually. It's just taking a long time. I'm okay. Even though, especially with the new patches coming out, I have to possibly monitor and choose between the old patch or the new patch, because all the time I've really been spending for the old patch is on Mega Man, because his classification thing is too complex. But anyway, I've been working on other mods as well on that, so sorry if I'm a bit lazy, but at least I'm still making videos. I actually got off my ass and did this one for you, so then you could understand how Slade works. And also this Saxon Hail, and I don't know if that one will be ready by the end of the year. It's not really that much done, barely done anything out of it. I only like implemented one boss, but that still doesn't work exactly right because it's not balanced correctly. But other than that, you can enjoy this video. Hello and welcome to the Slade tutorial, the first one of the series, in which I will genuinely teach you about how to use Slade. Even if you're from a beginner of making code, or a beginner or expert, or you just don't know what code is. But anyway, in this tutorial I will uncover the basic stuff you need within Slade as to start building up a mod net. I will have this mod template in my I'll have this mod template in the description if you want to just copy it and use it for your own needs, or you can pause and look through. You can start and pause whatever you need in the video to follow the code at whatever time is needed. So first, you would need to bring up this page. So you'd start with Slade here. It'll have a whole bunch of buttons in it. As what you would need to first do is use this create zip archive. This here will bring up a new archive in that. You have to do yada a whole bunch of things. But I'm not here to just show you the entire thing step by step. I'm just going to show you how to make 3 simple weapons and basic stuff. That's it, like a few functions and weapons. That's all. Anyway, if you can't already tell, I've literally made this just for this moment, so feel free to grab it from the description. But anyway, so there's a whole lot of things you would have here. So example, this thing is all the colors the game has. From black as 0 all the way to 255 as some kind of brown color. Because Mega Man Deathmatch only accepts these colors. If there's anything that is slightly off the palette or not existent on the color palette, the game will try to auto-direct it into whatever these colors are. So you have something that's like a really bright red. It'll try to either put it into 176 or 175, depending which one's closer. Next thing is the decorative file. This file is important for your inclusion of weaponry. So let me put this. So 3 weapons, basic weapon, basic shine, and basic splitter, they are the 3 weapons I've made. for this tutorial. Since you want, you're going to need to put it into a include script and the location of where the file is. So example, let's start with this here. So the basic weapon. So it would be actors, and it's right here. These three. This, this, and this. The decorate file, pretty easy to do. Just make sure you don't misspell it because it is case sensitive. Just warning you now. Basic weapon. Basically the really easy one. The easiest weapon you could make. As there's a few things here. So the name of a weapon that if you were to go into Mega Man Deathmatch and use the /give command, you would type this to give you the weapon. And this is just a serial number for this category. So the ammo use, this is how much ammo per shot, in which I usually don't trust this. I usually don't use it because there's better ways of doing it. Ammo give of 28. This ammo give variable is really important, as if you have this ammo give as 28 and then the other ammo give, the one down here, if this one's like 52, things start getting weird and it'll register only this one, not that one. So you want this to be the same as this. So basically it's how much ammo you have, or shots. This is just a categorizing number. You would have to do some ACS if you want to categorize that. Obligatory. This is basically just your kill message. The O is like your target and the killer is you. Well, if you're the one who kills the target, then it would be target was killed by example Great Man means basic weapon, as it will be displayed at the top of the screen. Next thing, pickup message. This is basically if you pick up the weapon, it will display this message. A tag shows up at the bottom of the screen when you select it. Ammo type is the name of the ammo, and this is the icon that just shows up as you hold the weapon. And now to explain how the states work. So the spawn is when the item spawns, so it's like a pickable, like when you can pick up a weapon, as it only has one frame and it constantly loops it. If you were to put like more letters like B and C, it would loop with these 3 letters. It's you with your actual weapon. Always, this brings up color if you can't tell by the comment here. Feel free to pause the video at any time. There's a weapon ready that makes a weapon ready at any time. And this just loops the script. It loops it over and over and over. These two were made to just make you instantly swap to the next weapon. Now, for the important stuff, like kind of the fun entertaining stuff that's not just like simple weapon startup, these are the firing things. So there's fire and alt fire. So in this tutorial I will teach you about the fire command. This thing allows you to just have your primary fire. That's what it is. This entire thing is for your primary attack. So this command here says jump if no ammo. So if you don't have any ammo, it will jump down to here, in which will play the out of ammo effect. This here plays the sound effect for the weapon. This one fires the actual projectile, and these are just HUD things. This one refires the weapon. Now to the other thing you've seen earlier. You can have as much of these as you want. Well, usually you would only go with 1 to 2. Simple weapons, go with 1. If you're going for classes, you would go with 2. But if you're going for something extremely complex, you might want to have more inventory items than that. Okay, so here's the actual projectile. This projectile has... Actually, before I get into that, a projectile is something that you shoot and it moves a certain distance. It can either go straight, it can move in a wavy pattern, it can bounce around, it can be affected by gravity, it could be all kinds of stuff. Even ones that ignore walls and just kill people. But anyway, the thing is, there's this projectile tag. Really important, as if you put the projectile tag, it will give this simple projectile actor a whole bunch of tags that will make it classify as a projectile. The radius is like how wide it is, but how Doom works is, their hitboxes are cylinders. Yeah, I'm not joking, they're cylinders. But here's the thing, here's the next thing. So the radius is basically forward to your side. Basically, it's a circle range around you. So, depending on how far forward will also be how far to the side. Height will just be up and down. So think of it, likewise, it's a cylinder. Like, the scale doesn't change the radius and height of the hitbox. It just makes the picture for the thing bigger. Damage is just genuine damage. Damage type, this I will explain better in the later tutorials. Force XY billboard. This flag, well basically, this comment literally tells you what it is. Basically, you always are facing at it. That's literally what it is. This is how fast it goes, and the states for it. The states for a projectile is like from when it first appears to when it disappears. So here we have when it spawns, it just has this frame, and it keeps looping it. And then once it hits a target or a wall or something that destroys it, it plays this effect, MMFX, from frames B to E, and it removes it. I will show you what it looks like within game. To bring in the weapon that you have made, you have to type up the name of the weapon. Seen here as basic weapon. If you saw from earlier within the video, whatever you name the weapon is whatever it will be named in game. But we're not here to just full on say that, spend like 5 minutes explaining the name of it. I'll just go ahead and show you what this does. It's a fast moving projectile, but it does send damage. It's an extremely easy weapon code. And now here's the next weapon, the basic shine. This weapon is a little bit more complex than the last one, as the last one just flied forward at a high speed, well, something faster than the casual Mega Buster, but this one leaves a trail behind it. But this is literally the same process as the last weapon, but with one extra step. So you go through all this and that. It's got different name variables and all. It's got a different damage type, but you usually want to have a different damage type for each weapon, unless if certain weapons are meant to have the same damage type, but I'm not going to explain that this video. Anyway, keeps the same speed, but during its animation it has this, a spawn item EX. What is this? Well, it's a thing that allows a projectile or entity during its lifetime to spawn in more things. So this basic shine flake is here. It doesn't do any damage, doesn't have any size and range or anything, but it's got a scale, so it's more like a bigger image, but it can't like damage it, or it can't damage you. But what does this do? Well, it's basically just a decoration kind of thing. As some weapons in Mega Man Deathmatch have trails, like Spark Chaser or Gemini Laser. Those weapons, they have trails behind them. This weapon basically just leaves particles around. As these particles, during their lifetime, they will gradually fall down. They will fall down slowly until they hit the ground and vanish. Yet again, another easy thing to make. It's like the last weapon, but with one extra step. Okay, so here's the next weapon, basic shine. As like the last weapon, it moves at the same speed, but it leaves these shining particles behind, and they gradually fall. Yet again, another thing that is pretty easy to make, and takes very little time. Okay, now here is the last weapon within the entire set. So, this weapon, the basic splitter, is a little bit more of a complex weapon, but I forgot to give it its proper categorizing number. But anyway, well, this is a weapon that does split into more projectiles. It's like spread drill, but it has one less split. So it goes from one big drill and splits into two small ones. But this weapon's not as good as that big weapon though. But anyway, going through the list, basic weapon ammo, splitter net, has a different kill message this time. You can put as much kill messages as you want, and even have one for each projectile. And here's the thing, so when the projectile spawns, it's normal, has its animation net and lips, but when it dies, it spawns these two projectiles, two of the same projectile but at different intervals. So you can pause the video at any time if you want to understand these any better, or have a closer look. So let me explain. And so the string type is the projectile or whatever it's going to be spawning. X is forward and backward, Y is left and right, and Z is up and down. That's what you need to know. Okay, so now the basic split projectile. Right. Just disclaimer, this projectile for me right now is a little bugged. So the better way to make this work would just be copy pasting the entire splitter projectile, but removing these death things, but putting like these two dots and going like basic splitter or whatever the previous projectile name was. And there's a death message I've given it. So if you kill your opponent with just the normal projectile, it'll be killed by basic splitter. But if your opponent dies to the actual projectiles that split, your opponent was split by play as basic splitter weapon. Now let's try this weapon out. Okay, so here's the splitter weapon. Remember, type this up if you want to play around with it. Don't forget the weapon names. But if you do forget the weapon name, you can just go back into where your code was and grab the name from there. Okay, so I've taught you on how to make the basic three basic and easy to make projectiles. Also, that is just a normal projectile, a projectile that spawns other projectiles, and one that, when it dies, it turns into even more. I hope you can manage to make whatever crazy and weird weapons you want with these very basic weapon concepts. But we're not done yet. As for the S-bar info, this thing is really important. As this stuff, you don't need to worry about that at the moment. This is some other complex stuff. But anyway, what we're here for is the basic weapon bars. These. So, what are these bars? So, these bars allow you to show how much weapon energy is left within a weapon. And these bars are shown either horizontal, as shown at the bottom of the screen, or shown vertical at the top left of the screen. Usually, your bar 2 or bar 4 would be classified as horizontal, so sideways. As this bar will use a certain bar from the textures.bars, and this is its empty bar. So remember, if you're making a weapon bar, you want like full sideways or horizontal, make sure there's 2 or 4, depending on how much bars you have. If you have 2 weapon bars, you'll have a 2 and a 4. And for this one, it's vertical, you would want 1 or 3. But also, take a note here. So, this side, so top left, and it's vertical, 16 and 8. This one here, if like horizontal, it's flat, 58, 184. Basically, you can just decide where you want these. Next thing, sound info. This is basically where you just find your sounds. This sound was used within this tutorial. I'll teach you how to implement sounds a bit later. Textures.bars. This stuff's actually not too hard. You just need to know the colors. For example, the base SE bar, or in short, basic bar, uses bar energy bar. It uses this thing, which is, if you saw throughout earlier the video, the top left, there's hour bars, and this is the texture for it. And here's the color translations. So bright blue turned into this bright grey, and the dark blue, or normal blue, turned into this darker grey. But I also did the same thing for the other one right here. As bars aren't too hard, just need to remember to make things work. Next one, these are just icons that are shown. So there's icon, and these are animations. I'll teach you how to do animations later. Yet again, some actual icons. Yes, this must just be the HUDs, actually. Yep. So icons and the menu def. This doesn't really animate. Also, the actual ACS. So at first, this may look really confusing, but don't worry. It's as long as you follow a certain rule, you'll be fine. Like if you go above 999, it kind of screws up some translations for boss panels. But hey, you don't have to follow that rule. His basic weapon, 970, has this translation. So basically, if you want to make a color translation, you define whatever name, put whatever number, and then make another translation thing of whatever colors you want. Weapon ACS? This is another one that actually is a little bit complex. But here I'm kinda just... It's to allow certain classifications. So this here, even though its name is cool weapon, it's basically just a simple area of like to allow the hotkey selection. That's basically what this is. So this is the colors for weapons, and this is the hotkey selection. There's also energy balancer in this. I'm not going to go into that yet because I honestly don't know how that works. And this one, Mega Man Deathmatch Lib. This one's some complex stuff, and I'm not going to get into that. So, yeah. So, that's a bit about all I've really been able to teach you for now. For this first tutorial video. Sure, making weapons are easy, and possibly implementing sprites that I should have said earlier. You can just place whatever sprites you want in here, and it's easy, such as these. But yet again, and I hope you've learned something from this.